This is your radio salvation. Go, 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 go.
Broadcasting live from the Go Live Vegas studios in the entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas. It's time now for the Twin Brothers from Different Mothers, the fastest growing podcast in the nation. New Jersey native Aaron Phillips is the voice of Las Vegas and an inductee into the Las Vegas Entertainment Hall of Fame. And Boston native Neil Portnoy is an internationally recognized artist and illustrator with his acclaimed studio in the heart of Las Vegas. Together, they are the Twin Brothers from Different Mothers.
Good afternoon from Las Vegas for a very special edition of Twin Brothers from Different Mothers, sans Aaron Phillips.
You're not a twin today.
Well, listen, I'm always a twin the size of me. It doesn't matter. I get on the scale in the morning. Scale says to me, one person at a time, please. We're in studio today with my stepbrother, twin brother for today, Johnny Bird. Johnny, what's happening?
Oh, man, I'm so happy to be here. I'm always happy to be here with you guys. And now with him, well, frankly, with him not here, we can just talk about him the whole show.
Well, that's what I have in my notes. Notes 1, 2, and 3 talk about Aaron Phillips.
Aaron Phillips scoop right here. We could, and what isn't true, we could just make up.
Well, he is enjoying family time at Lake Havasu. And with that bald dome that he has, I'm sure he's turning into a New England, he's going to love that, lobster.
Well, he better put some stuff on that bulb of his, or he's gonna peel.
Been there, done that. Hey, let's talk a little bit about what's happening here in Vegas. We've kind of reverted back to stage 1B, maybe we can call it.
Yeah.
Governor Sisolak came on, and he's effective as of last night at 11:59. The bars are shut down. What's your feeling on that? I mean, you're an entertainer here in town. Give me your feelings on that.
Well, frankly, I think I'm kind of lucky when it comes to that because I play in a restaurant side of East String. But I know a lot of places that they can't function like that. And once they turn down the bar side, and once they can't have everybody sitting at the bar, it changes the dynamics. And
Sure.
frankly, a lot of places have to close completely. So I might have got a little lucky, but frankly, what I notice is once the news went out, the bomb went off. And people that have known each other for a long time are battling it out on Facebook and Instagram and all this stuff. And it breaks my heart because friends that have been friends are now picking sides. They're on different sides of the fence. What do you feel about
Well,
that?
it's the new, if you don't like my view, I'll unfriend you on
Yeah.
social media. I mean, it's gotten to the point, in my opinion, and I'll preface it by saying it's in my opinion, that, you know what, depending on what business you're involved with, depending on what business you support, you're going to have a view. And the views are okay. And I get it. I mean, Dorothy and I, my wife, we went down to Tuscany last night, and we kind of looked over at the bar, and the seats at the bar were taken away, but there were still people congregating at the bar. So I really don't understand. I get it, but I don't understand the way that he's doing it. Listen, we have to get the numbers down. The numbers are too high. I think the only thing that's going to resolve all this is the vaccine. We got to get that vaccine because
Right.
that'll change everything.
Yeah, and if convergence of people is causing a problem at bars, there's the same convergence at a bunch of different other places. I'm just curious how some have been selected and others haven't, including like the casinos. Casinos, as far as I understand, are still open to the public. A lot of other
But the
places.
bars are not open
Yeah.
in the casinos. So most of the casinos have these restaurants, eating establishments. The buffets aren't the buffets that Vegas used to have.
Right.
I mean, you know what? We went over to the coffee pub on Sahara and had breakfast one morning, and the waitress says, "It's the beginning of the end as we knew it." And think about that. It's pretty profound. It's the beginning of the end that we knew. Life is never going to be the same as it was prior to COVID hitting. And I'm still going to call it COVID-15 because I put on 15 freaking pounds since this stupid thing happened. Are we going to come back? We're going to come back.
Of course.
My guess still is by September 15th, we'll be at stage 3 or level 3 here in Las Vegas. The entertainment venues will start opening again, which I think is great. A lot of the entertainers are playing the smaller venues. I know tonight Dorothy and I are going down to the Vegas room, and Travis Clower is playing, so we're going to see Travis tonight sing and have a little bite to eat. Johnny, what's your feelings on that? I mean, listen, you do E-strings, and you know a lot of these little club, venue, bar, food venues with a lot of other things you got going on. Give me your insight on as an entertainer, as a performer in town.
Well, again, it's going to change the dynamics. E-string has been very, very picky and very careful about making sure people follow the rules. And they only squeeze so many people in, so they've taken out chairs. But in the last couple of weeks, where we had, frankly, more people that wanted to come to the show than could, they would sit in the bar. Now they can't. So that's going to change the dynamics for me a little bit too. But again, I'm thankful for what we have. And I'll add one more thing about people battling. I was at my gym yesterday. And give a shout out to Planet Fitness. At the door, I checked in, and the lady said, "Well, here's a new rule. We just got this morning because somebody got in trouble the night before.
Yep.
You got to wear a mask no matter where you are, unless you're running on a treadmill." And I do different aerobic things. And so I got to have it even if I'm doing aerobics at high speed. It says, "Yep, unless you're running on a treadmill." And about halfway through.
Now, what was the concern? Because when Dorothy and I went down to E-strings, there were people dancing.
But they were dancing at a distance. I mean, they weren't. The couples, there were a couple of couples that were slow dancing, but they came together. They left together. They didn't. I mean, they have each other's germs already. I don't know that's going to be quite a big concern.
I got to be one of them couples.
But quickly at the gym, there's almost a fist fight between a lady and one of the staff members when she was told on the treadmill she was walking that she needed to pull up her mask.
Yep.
Oh, she went ballistic. But I just popped the popcorn and watched the show. A couple other things coming up. In just a couple of weeks, we have the opening day, or opening 2 days of baseball. Neil, tell me about that. What are your thoughts?
Well, as a former player, a former coach at the collegiate level, what's happening now in Major League Baseball is we're playing a collegiate schedule. We're playing 60 games. Starting pitching is going to be all different. You're going to rely much more on starting pitching. Not so much with middle relievers, but you're going to deal with the closer. The closer is going to, you're going to see at the end of this year, in my opinion, 8 guys minimum that are going to have Tommy John surgery because they've overextended that tendon in their throwing arm. It's going to be very different. If you get off to a slow start, pack it in and wait till 2021. If you get off to a fast start, remember 60 games. If you win 40 games and lose 20, you're in contention to get into the playoffs. Double that, 80 games. And if you win 40 games and you're playing a 162 game schedule and you win 85 games, sometimes you don't make the playoffs. It's going to be really crucial to get off to a fast start. I mean, the first game, opening game, is going to be the world champion Washington Nationals against the New York Yankees. You're going to get an opportunity for 2 starting pitchers that are former Cy Young Award winners. It's going to be a great opening game. I heard that a lot of the new stadiums are going to be putting in crowd noise sounds. So the players have much more of a feel for an actual game with a crowd. Listen, are we doing a TV game show? Everybody stand up and clap? I don't know how that's going to happen. As a former player, your preparation, your pre-game ceremonies, the pitcher would go out and do long toss. He'd do a small bullpen, a bully. It is that crowd noise. That doesn't do anything for me. I want the guy yelling at me, "Throw a strike!"
So, before we go to the next topic, tell me about your opening day experiences as both a player and as a coach. Do you have any interesting stories?
Well, as a player and being a former pitcher, I mean, I wasn't going to be the opening day pitcher, so I'm supporting my fellow teammates. As a coach, it's totally different because these are young, 17 to 20-year-old kids that, they were big man on campus in high school. Now you're playing college baseball. It's a different game. College baseball is a different game. You got your parents, you got your brothers, siblings, sisters. The butterflies are flying until you get to the mound, till you get to the field. You make the first play, everything looks good, and then you're into it. That's why it was crucial for myself and my coaching staff that we did a lot of, pre-games. We would have scrimmage. We'd call it a scrimmage, the blue team against the gold team. So we were in-game conditioning. So it didn't matter that this was opening day. We were used to it. It was just another day on the diamond.
Cool. Final thought before we go to our first break. Charlie Daniels passed. What's the first song you remember hearing by Charlie?
I wasn't a country western fan. All I knew was he was a big, heavy-set guy with a cowboy hat, glasses, and he had a fiddle.
He did have a fiddle.
But he had that song about Georgia, something with Devil in Georgia. Am I correct?
Yeah, Devil went down to Georgia.
Oh, did he ever come back?
Yeah, as far as I know, yeah. Now, Charlie Daniels was quite a rebel in his early days as a music star.
Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he is a Hall of Famer. In fact, Charlie Daniels is the reason I bought my first fiddle. Because
I didn't know you played fiddle.
I wanted to learn just one song. I wanted to learn that song so I could pull it out at a show and do the Charlie Daniels Devil Went Down to Georgia. But back in the 70s, mid-80s, he was just on fire. Now, he changed over from the rebel to a very much more Christian guy, and very, very patriotic guy, very strong Christian, very strong in the music business, and as far as I could tell, there wasn't a single person that didn't like Charlie Daniels.
Now, you had a little bit of a connection with a mutual friend that we have.
Yeah.
That was doing. Why don't you explain a little bit about that and our good friend Dennis?
Well, I was just crushed when I heard about Charlie Daniels because I loved his music as everybody or most people that like country music did. But my first thought went to a friend of ours, a mutual friend, very, very talented young man here in Las Vegas, Dennis Blair. Because Dennis wrote a song called "I Miss George Jones."
I miss George Jones.
Yeah, I actually have a little snippet of it here. We don't want to get in too much trouble, but
great songwriter, singer, performer, Dennis Blair.
Yeah, Dennis Blair, and what he did is
I don't spend most of my days thinking about the past.
This song was sent off to Charlie Daniels, but if I understand right, he didn't get it recorded before he passed.
Correct.
So that was on the docket. So our heart goes out to Charlie Daniels, all their family and all their friends, and of course my heart goes out to all the people that were prominent in Charlie's life. So and of course my heart goes out to Dennis and Ron and so many other people who love Charlie. Well, we're going to come back in just a few minutes. We'll be back with Mark Maynard and find out a little bit more. So we go to the break. Thanks so much for tuning in to Twin Brothers from Different Mothers. I'm Johnny. That's Neil. Mark up next.
What do you do when you're craving the best pizza in Vegas and want a fun family activity? Call Marsigliano's Pizzeria and More and order up your very own pizza kit. Kids and parents love the fun while creating your very own hot, fresh, and delicious custom pizzeria pizza at home. Call 702-979-9222 for Marsigliano's Pizzeria and More and order your very own custom pizza kit for delivery or takeout. That's 702-979-9222 and make every night a pizza night.
And we're back. I love the music when I go, and we're back. Just don't have me sing. Keep me at the drawing board. Do not let me sing.
Well, luckily, we got a guy that can do some singing right next to you.
Why don't you introduce our guest there, Johnny? Because you know what? He does a lot of work with you and Birdland Productions. It's yours, pal. Go.
Well, I'm real pleased. There's just so much talent here in Las Vegas, and this guy sitting on the dais, as they call it, is one of those the premier talents here in Las Vegas. That he does a show called Frankie's Falsetto, a tribute to Frankie Valli and all those great falsetto singers. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the guy right here. Put it together for Mark Maynard.
Woo-hoo!
Thank you so much, Neil. I'm really happy to
You
be
know,
here.
Mark, I got to tell you, I was going through all the 16,000 pages that you sent over to Johnny.
He sent a lot. Lisa
Oh
did
my
that.
Lord! Photographs with black hair, and now you get the silver look, which is very stunning. I mean,
Well, it's truly Frankie at this period of his life,
that's
for
correct.
sure.
My hair never had the opportunity to turn that color; it just kind of fell out.
Hallelujah.
Hey, I want to ask you a quick question.
Sure.
You know, your musical journey. Obviously, you're not 22 years old, and I'm not 23.
You're right. I'm 27.
Johnny's 28, so you know he's the kid in the group here. But talk a little bit about your journey, because I always tell people life is a journey. How did you get into this? Where did you come? Talk a little bit.
Well, I tell you what. I'm from a small town in Iowa. Okay. It's a little town out there called Boone, Iowa.
Is it near a cornfield? or-
It's cornfields everywhere. out there.
Everything there is near a
That's
cornfield.
right.
So I figured I'd start with a positive question.
But yeah, I started as a junior in high school. I think we freshmen in high school with the music, playing guitars, playing bass. Got involved with all that music and the groups. I had several groups at that time. We did some recordings and we did a lot of traveling, a lot of touring.
But what about the voice? Frankie Valli is not easy to sing.
Well, that's true.
I mean, the only way I get to that point is I take my two hands, put it between my legs, and pull up.
I tell you what, it can be challenging, especially if you're not fresh and you're a little bit tired and the show must go on, you know. But I could kind of jump forward with that a little
Go
bit
ahead.
since you brought
Sure.
Frankie up. It was in December of 1993 here in Las Vegas, and it was at the Desert Inn Casino Hotel showroom. And some friends of mine called me and they said, you know what, Mark, you should contact Frankie because I'm sure he'd be fascinated with you. So I did just that. I reached his tour manager and I said, told him who I was and why I was interested to get a visit with Frankie Valli. And he said, Mark, I'm gonna speak with Frankie Valli a little bit about you and I'll call you back in an hour or two. And he did just exactly that.
Now, was that part of Legends at the time? or-
I got into Legends following this opportunity I had to visit with Frankie Valli because I needed to be sure that Frankie Valli would be happy and would be giving me his blessing to do this.
Now, did you feel like you were 6'3" standing next to Frankie?
You know,
because he's tiny.
He is a small man, his stature there with his
Yeah.
height. But so they called me back and they said, Frankie Valli really wants to meet you. He's very interested in what you're about. So I went to the show. They called me to the show that night. After the show, I went to see him. And there's a long parade of people that wanted to visit with him. And so I cut to the chase and I said, Mr. Valli, first of all, you're an incredible vocalist. I've always loved everything you've ever recorded. And I'm here tonight to ask your position, you know, what you would... I know what you're suggesting here,
Oh, yeah,
Johnny.
you were sucking up at that point.
That
I
wa-
tell you what, no, it was really the honest to God's truth, and I admire him so much. And so I said, so I'm here tonight, Mr. Valli, to ask if I can get your blessing, your approval, that you will be saying, yes, you can enjoy a tribute. I want to do his tribute.
Right, it's
Frank,
a tribute. It's not. You're not impersonating him.
Right.
You're doing a tribute.
Exactly. And he stood back a minute. He looked a little curious and he said, I said, no one's ever asked you this before. And he said, that's right. You're the first guy ever to come to me and ask me something like this. And he said, but before I can give you any answer, I need to have you've got to sing for me. He put me on the spot right then and there.
With no instrumentation,
No-
nothing, and
right.
just go.
A cappella, right. So I jumped into something like, working my way back to you, babe. And he stopped me right there and he said, no, wait a minute, man, that's too easy. He said, I want something else. Give me something else. So keep in mind, what are we, just a little bit into after the noontime? I don't usually jump into songs with the Frankie Valli style at this time of the day. But I went something like, Sherry. And he just stopped me. He said, wow, man. He said, that's really pretty amazing. And then he visit with me and he says, you know what? I want you to enjoy this. You got my blessing here.
Great.
He said, he said, you sound wonderful. He said, I want you to really enjoy it. And then what was kind of funny, he's got a great sense of humor. He says, you know, they did the right thing to come and see me about this.
He didn't say to you, I want you to, my 6 divorces, I want you to pick up all the payments if you're going to do that? He
You
didn't say
know,
anything like that.
I kind of was seeing that coming down the road, as a matter of fact. But he said, Mark, you did the right thing to come and see me about this. And then he paused a minute. He says, because you know, I have friends. In other words, if there's
Yeah.
exactly that.
So what was the first time? I mean, you came to Vegas. I mean, I'm looking at my little
Wait,
1969.
Hold on one second. The story you just told. What if Frankie would have said no?
Well, I wouldn't do it.
Why?
Because I respect him so much. He's the genuine article, and I just want him to know that I just have that much respect for him. And I was hoping, of course, that he would say yes.
And you did it the right way.
I had no idea what he was going to say.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interject. I was
No.
just curious. I've heard you tell that story before, but I never asked. What if he would have said no? What would you have done then?
I would have probably started singing Johnny Cash or something. I don't know. It's just,
Not with that voice. You're not. No.
I keep a close watch
but
on this heart of mine.
after he gave me his approval, I mean, he shook me my hand, he looked right into my eyes, and he said, you know what? He said, you might be able to make some money doing this too, because, you know, I have. And it was so funny to have him say that.
Well, when Jersey Boys, Travis Clover, you know, that
Yeah.
whole cast,
Right.
when Jersey Boy hit, all of a sudden Frankie exploded.
Oh, sure. A whole new generation
A
of
whole-
fans.
You know, when you know, Jersey Boys came out, the Bronx Wanderers blew up.
Oh, sure.
So everything in life is, first and foremost, you know, who you know, but timing.
Exactly.
The timing for you to go up to Frankie, get his approval.
Yeah.
You know, Jersey Boys is hitting, he's exploding.
Well, like he said to me directly, he said, you're the first guy ever to come
Yep.
and talk to me about this.
So let's get to 1969. You get to Vegas.
I get to Vegas, and I was invited. Prior to that, for about a year, I traveled on the road with the Las Vegas show band. The band was called Friends of the Family.
Okay.
Rick Friedman was the leader. A lot of the people here in Las Vegas know Rick.
Sure.
And so Rick was the leader. He was passing through the Midwest on a tour, and he had heard about me. And at that point in time, you said it's about timing. At that point in time, he was looking to replace his bass player, backup singer. And so a friend of mine told me about all of this, and Rick called me, and he said, I've heard a lot about you, Mark. And I said, yeah, well, I hope it's been pretty good. And he said, you know what, I want to meet you, and I want to have you do an audition for me.
Now, did you just sing or did you play the bass as well?
I played electric bass, electric guitar. I was singing both leads and harmonies. and
All
I
at the
played-
same time.
Practically, you know, that's what they always want, you know that. And I was playing a valve trombone. So that really piqued his interest because he had a keyboard player that was playing trumpet. And they were doing a lot of that brass rock
Sure.
and roll, you know, Chicago, that kind of stuff. So he says to me, I did the audition, and he says, that's amazing, you know. He said, I'm hiring you. I'm going to give my bass player a 2-week notice. And he said, first stop for you to join up with us and perform is in Boston.
Where'd you play in Boston?
Oh, my
Because you
God.
know that's where I'm
Oh,
from.
here we go.
It was a great club there. I can't think of the name of the club.
Okay.
This is 1968, you know,
Sure.
going into 69.
I was around then.
Yeah, okay. But it was fun. It was great. I traveled for about just over a year with
Yep,
that group.
yep.
And then I left the group. I was getting kind of burned out. And so at that point in time, I returned back to the Midwest, and I was doing some local rock and roll bands. I was Tommy T's Federal Reserve.
Were you being repped by anybody, or you guys were booking your own gigs?
They had some booking agents out of Las Vegas for that particular group.
Okay.
And in the Midwest, we had some agencies, the Gene Varian agency, and he put us in some rock and roll clubs, and we went in studio and we did a recording, a song called Get It Together, and all of that. So it was a great experience.
Was that one original?
It was an original.
Did you write it?
I did not write it. The guitar player wrote it, and I just played and sang back up.
What year was this now, Mark?
That would have been in 68.
Okay, so 68 comes, and you guys are traveling all over the country
Yeah.
doing the gigs, you know.
The keyboard player came to Las Vegas.
Yep.
And he called my parents and he says, how's Mark doing out there on the road? And he says, oh, he just came back to the Midwest about 2 months ago. I need to talk to him. So Bobby Vaughn, Robert Vaughn, genius fella, who played the keyboards, he had a show going on here in Las Vegas. So he calls me and he says, Mark, are you available? Yeah, I am. He says, I want you to come to Las Vegas. We got a show waiting for you. And that was the invitation to come here.
Was that Legends at that time?
And
or
no, Legends came right after I talked with Frankie Valli. And I contacted Johnny Stewart, who
Sure.
owned the whole thing.
Own the whole thing, yeah.
And his assistant was Nelson Foster. And Nelson contacted me and he says, Johnny's interested in wanting to hear you. I did an audition for Johnny. Usually he'll stay and hear maybe 2 songs.
Right.
He sat there for a good 20 minutes. Give me more, give me more. I want to make sure that this is real. And
That
then-
was about as long as he ever stood with anybody,
Ex-
right?
that's-
He was infamous for getting in and out as quickly as possible.
Exactly, that's right, Johnny. And so he says, okay, we're booking you. You're going to go to Atlantic City, because if anybody knows Frankie Valli's stuff, it's his buddies and his friends out there, in Jersey.
Now let me ask you a question, and same thing goes for Johnny, because Johnny did the travel all over. Now he's in Vegas, doing his thing. Family life changes when you see a child that you may have, a woman, male friend. It doesn't matter. How does that affect you now that all of a sudden you turn to them and say, "I'll see you in 6 weeks"?
Well, let me tell you this. Family has been the root core of my life. And it's important. I have three kids. Well, they're young adults now.
Sure.
My oldest, I have my one and
They're
only
still
son.
your kids.
Yeah. So my son Parker, in October, coming up here, he'll be 37. I have a young daughter who's 24. She's in the Navy. They're all doing great. The youngest is my daughter Destiny. She's going to be 20 the end of August. And I've always walked that tightrope with entertaining, keeping the family. Now, sort of a interesting part of the equation is I became a single parent. So I've been Mr. Mom and Dad,
Yeah,
and raised them
sure.
and took care of them. So to do that efficiently and with some stability, I decided the entertaining thing is going to be an advocation. That my vocation had to be something really solid that would get me a pension and health care.
Be able to afford to do what you want, your passion.
Right. So I hooked up with the Clark County Parks Department, and I worked over 20 years with them. And they were incredibly good with me because they knew, when they hired me, they knew that I loved to sing, and a little bit about that. So my first time, after being with them for about 5, 6, 7 years maybe, I went to them because Legends kept knocking at my door.
Sure.
And they said, exactly, it sounded
Maynard.
just like that.
Mark?
And they said, gee, Mark, they're waiting for you to come back out to Atlantic City. We want you back in the show. I said, I don't think I can do that. I don't want to rock the boat with the county. And they said, well, listen, why don't you just at least ask them? So they wanted so badly and encouraged me so much.
Yep,
So I
yep.
went to my boss and I said, here's the deal. I would like very much if you allow me a leave of absence. I'll come back, I'll tie on the steel-toe boots, I'll put on the uniform, I'll get out there and do everything and anything to make it right.
And they let you do it.
And they let me do
See,
it.
that's perfect.
And they let me do it 3 different times.
We're going to break real quickly. I want to tell all our listeners and viewers they can call in, and this is the first time I've done this, and Aaron Phillips isn't here to say, yep, you got the number right, but 702-329-6947. And for our listeners and viewers all over the world, toll free, 855-502-4321. We're twin brothers from different mothers, live here in Vegas.
Sugar Shack.
There's a crazy little shack beyond the tracks, and everybody calls it the Sugar Shack. Well, it's just a coffee house and it's made out of wood. Espresso coffee tastes mighty good. That's not the reason why I gotta get back up to that Sugar Shack.
What do you do when you're craving the best pizza in Vegas and want a fun family activity? Call Marsigliano's Pizzeria and More and order up your very own pizza kit. Kids and parents love the fun while creating your very own hot, fresh, and delicious custom pizzeria pizza at home. Call 702-979-9222 for Marsigliano's Pizzeria and More and order your very own custom pizza kit for delivery or takeout. That's 702-979-9222 and make every night a pizza night.
Welcome back to Twin Brothers from Different Mothers.
Hey.
I'm Neil Portnoy with my stepbrother Johnny Bird and our special guest today, singer extraordinaire Mark Maynard.
Oh, thank you, Neil.
Hey, Mark, let's pick up from where we left off. We were talking about legends and how you get involved with Johnny Stewart.
Hey,
Yes.
before we do, we got a couple of shout outs up on the
Oh,
big
we
screen.
do. Ken Foote says Mark's the best.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Ken.
Our friend and everybody's friend and the general manager of the Tuscany Lounge, Sheila Cooper, says, love you, Mark Maynard.
Oh, thank you, Sheila. That's
Very
beautiful.
good.
Nice. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Talk about Johnny Stewart, because Johnny's an interesting guy.
Yes, he is.
He had legends, which I've seen the show, revolving cast of characters
Right.
that look, sound like the entertainer.
Johnny is a mover and a shaker.
Yep.
He does not slow down. He's like 100 miles a minute, and he really knows talents. And he's so willing to take chances that maybe others were feeling like a little hesitant or really somewhat reluctant. He sent me down to Atlantic City, and on 3 occasions we were to start with was at Bally's Park Place on the
Yep,
boardwalk.
sure.
Then they moved it to the Claridge, and then they moved it to the resorts. Okay, and so I was involved doing shows. I probably did for Legends probably over 500 shows.
Now, when you do a show like that, you're getting a fee, you're getting a small stipend, you're getting room and board with a toilet, I
Yeah,
think.
usually, yeah.
Sometimes, right? Not always.
That's the big time when you get that.
That's why I brought it up. Talk about that experience. I mean, here you are, you're doing shows all over the country.
Yes, sir.
Now you're locked in with a gig.
Right.
You're part of an organization.
Yeah.
I know myself, I'm a control person. I find it hard to take orders from other people. You know,
Okay.
I've worked for myself. How was that for you? Because you were running your gig, you were doing you. Now you're being told, here's your schedule, here's what you're getting.
Right.
You know, we need you up at 6:30 every morning. The soundtrack. Talk about that.
Well, you know, I knew that before I even put my name on the contract.
Yep.
Okay, it's very clear. There's no gray area at all, and so I'm just excited to entertain people. I knew that if I could, and I remember what Frankie Valli said to me the first time we met, and he said, entertain them. He said, one thing I want to make sure you understand, Mark, I don't want it to be a parody. Okay, now,
Right.
because of the high falsetto.
Sure.
He says it's not a joke. And he said, I said, Frankie, when I go on stage, I'm stepping into your shoes. I'm going to do it with style, with class, because you're a classy, stylish man. I said, I'm going to dress the part. I'm going to look the part as best I can. And I'm going to deliver every note in every song for you as if I'm in your skin. And he said, well, man, I couldn't ask for anything else.
Now, did you ever send them a link, a CD of you doing it so he could see? You know, thank you, Frankie, for the blessing. I just wanted to give you an update of what I'm doing.
I have kept in touch.
You know, if you've got a gig coming up and, you know, they can make me up to look like you and you don't want to do it. Hey, I think we got a call coming in. Is that correct? How do you do the call thing on here? I'm usually in the other chair. We have a call. Caller, go ahead. Where are you calling from?
Hello, everybody. It's me, President Trump.
Oh!
Yay.
I had to call in. I've heard so much about this show, and you know, after I appear on this, your ratings are going through the roof. It's going to be really incredible. Believe me.
Now, Mr. President, you calling in from the White House? Are you out at a campaign rally?
No. Actually, I'm on the road right now, and I'm just letting people know how fantastic everything is, and it's going great. It's really going incredible, I have to tell you.
We are so honored, Mr. President.
I'm honored. The Prez is calling me.
Are you
Yes,
are
this
you
is
alone?
This is so amazing, and you guys know I love Las Vegas because we have the tremendous Trump Tower right there on the Strip. And if it's not a Trump hotel, it's a dump hotel. I say that all the time.
I'm very curious, Mr. President. When the phone call came in, it said restricted on. There was no caller ID. Is that part of the protocol?
That's right. I've got a super secret phone, and no one knows what I'm calling, especially Melania, because I'm still trying to find her.
Mr.
You
President,
know, she started social distancing about 2 years ago, and I haven't seen her since.
Mr. President, Johnny Bird's got a question for you over here.
well, it's
Johnny Bird.
It's,
Johnny Bird.
man, it's definitely an honor to talk to you, Mr. President. We have on the dais Mr. Mark Maynard. Have you had a chance to see him, and do you have any questions for him?
Who?
Listen, I didn't know that the Prez was a big Frankie Valli Four Seasons fan. Apparently, this is a...
Absolutely, I love the Italian people. Great people, fantastic.
There you go.
Hardworking people.
There you
They
go.
do nice things with marble. Have you seen the lobby of Trump Tower in New York? It's all pink marble. That's the Italians.
You must have a favorite song from Frankie or the group. You know, you got a favorite song?
I love Sherry. I always
Sherry,
thought that was a brilliant
yes.
song, and I heard they wrote that like in 5 minutes.
They wrote it
5
very
minutes.
quickly, yes.
I think, Mr. President, that Mark will, if he can, and he agrees to, do one bar of Sherry for the President of the United States.
Sherry, baby, Sherry, baby, Sherry, can you come out tonight?
Touche.
You
Wow,
better
that is
ask her.
incredible.
You better ask your mama. Make sure there's everything cool with your mama.
Now,
Hey, Mr. President, I got to ask you real quickly. I know you're a very, very, very busy person, and I don't know if we
We have
can.
a lot. Listen, we have a lot going on. We have a lot going on.
I was going to ask you that. Are you
very tough week.
performing anywhere coming up?
Well, I'm performing on Cameo. You can find me on Cameo.
well, I was curious.
Cameo and look me up.
Well, there's
For
a
some
fella.
reason, they have me under the name of John D. Domenico. We're trying to resolve that issue.
Well, I was going to ask you about him. If you haven't met him, he is a remarkably talented performer here in Vegas and all over the place. Have you had a chance to see him? Because I think, frankly, Mr. President, he does you better than you do yourself. Any thoughts?
I heard him on Howard Stern, and I thought it was me. I have to tell you.
Well, if I remember in that Howard Stern, they asked who your favorite comedian was, and I
Right.
think for the first time in the 4 years that you've been leading our country, you hesitated a little bit. I really expected you to go right
Well,
to Johnny D.
I have to tell you, I had no idea Howard was going to ask me that question. They couldn't, they prepped me for weeks, but they left off that one very important thing. So,
Well, John D. Domenico, a
Hi, guys.
incredible talent here in Las Vegas, the #1 Trump impersonator in the world, and we are so honored.
Hey, thanks for calling in. Really. Appreciate it.
absolutely.
Hey, how can they find out where you are and what your next gig is, or how they can get a hold of you for one of the cameos?
I just did a bunch of. I was on the road for the last few weeks, socially distancing around the country. It's very interesting traveling now. I can tell you. I was at. I had a show in San Francisco last weekend, over 4th of July, and San Francisco airport was empty. It was crazy.
It's crazy.
Walken would say it was crazy. Wow. But yeah, I mean, everything seemed to be confined to virtual stuff. But Cameo is that's the main thing right now, and I've got about 10 to shoot today, so I'm going to be getting into Trumpy and shooting a bunch of cameos.
So a lot of people don't know that Cameo is a site, and we'll get your address so people can find you on Cameo. But special birthdays, holidays, special events where you want that person that is being honored to be spoken to by the President of the United States or other people that you do, they can
Right.
they
It could
can
be
find
Austin
you where.
Powers or
Right.
Dr. Phil or any of the characters I do. It's interesting because, since it's tough to buy presents or all this kind of stuff, people are having to do retirements.
It's great.
I did a bunch of things for some medical hospitals around the country as Trump. I also did a car at the dealership that broke their sales record last week. So anything you can think of, I can pretty much record and
You are
send out the
simply
video.
you are simply the best, my friend. And kudos to your fiance, who I watched on TV the other day doing her thing. Michelle and you are the power couple here in Las Vegas.
No, wait.
thank you
love
so
it.
much.
I don't think they are.
And-
I think that the power couple is somebody else,
Oh,
really.
you and Lisa over
There
there.
you go.
Okay.
I just want to make that.
He's sucking up again. Hey, Mr. D, how can people find you on social media? Do you have a website they can get to? And
Yeah.
for one last question, for those that are interested in the Cameo thing, are you able to share the kind of range so they can see if they can budget for it? Because that would be a great present.
Yeah, it's with Cameo, it's a fixed rate, but but you can, you give me the information, I'll do like a 2.5, 3-minute video, and then it's sent to them, and they can send it to they compress it so it's downloadable to their phone, and they can send it all around. They can post it on Facebook, which a lot of people have done. And as far as social media, just look up johnnyd.net, N-E-T, not .com, but .net. And then I'm JohnnyD23 on Instagram, and I'm all over Facebook. I'm verified as John D. Domenico Comedy from my fan page. You can find me on Twitter as JohnnyD23, and we're trying to consolidate all of these things so it's one name.
Good luck.
In this day and age, it's tough because everything's been taken.
That's right. That's
I may have
right.
to change my name.
But one of the finest and most talented performers in all of America right now, ladies and gentlemen, that's John D. Domenico.
John,
Thank
thanks
you
for
so
calling
much.
in, pal.
Absolutely. Have a great rest of the weekend, guys.
Thanks.
Take care.
How cool is that? I mean, you know
Yeah.
what? Johnny D, and we've already said it, but is an incredibly talented performer. One of the hardest working guys that I've ever met, and just a gem for the city we call Las Vegas.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
he is. And he's very kind to other performers, too.
Correct.
Now, this
I
guy's
kind
on
of
the
wanted
top.
I wanted to kind of refer back to that question you had about family and
Sure.
making it work with the industry as an entertainer, a performer. It's really challenging to do that, of course, okay? Especially when you're a single parent.
Well, and I don't know what situation caused it to be a single parent, but Johnny and I were talking a little bit off stage about this. It all depends if you've got a partner that you may not be with anymore that shares the same goal. It's about the kids.
Very important.
That's tough.
Absolutely. So that's always been my core of, concern and,
Sure.
and love was for the kids. So I've always been able to make it work. Sometimes we just crave to be on the stage and we want to be there all the time. But if we have other responsibilities, as a father, and, to keep the bills paid and all of that.
Right.
So, and just to be, but more importantly, to be there with them, to be able to help them, nurture them and love them, okay, all of that. So I was really blessed when I got the job with the County Parks Department and made it work. That's my daughter, Destiny, right there, as a matter of fact. And what a doll.
That's the young one, right?
She's the youngest, yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
she's just so smart and witty and fun. And Lisa would tell you that. They've been hanging together and they've been having a great time together.
Did the gene pools fall down to any of them as performers, singers?
Yes, as a matter of fact, Destiny there is incredibly talented. She's a great singer, but she's quite shy right now. So her shyness, I'm not going to bend her arm on this. I'm going to let her roll how she does with all
Yep,
of that,
yep.
right? But, it's like I've been able to make it work. Now, I went down to different places to perform, and she would go with me. When she was 4 years old, she was in Atlantic City with me, preschool, okay?
Yep.
So, there's ways to make it work. Not always easy, but there's so much joy in
Life gets in the way.
There you go.
I mean, I have no other way to put it, that
Yeah.
life gets in the way. And, as we talked off stage, one moment in time changes everything.
Yes.
And memories are made every single day. I know that my wife and I, our goal is to put a smile on somebody's face every day.
Exactly. And I just retired 1 year ago, coming up the 27th of July this month. Will be 1 year that I've been away from the Parks Department. So
What did you do with the Parks
I
Department?
worked with their landscape maintenance division.
Okay.
So I was boots on the ground in the parks. I was cleaning toilets. I was trimming trees. I was cutting the grass. I was putting in
Do
installation.
you do palm trees? Because my guy's too expensive.
I do palm trees and irrigation.
And palm readings.
I've not tried that yet, but good idea.
Not what Lisa told me, but go ahead.
Oh,
All right. Well, hey, what we're going to do is we're going to find out a little bit more and put Mark on the hot seat when we come back.
Watch
We got
out.
one final break here. You're tuned to Twin Brothers from Different Mothers. If you got a question, put it on Twitter.
For
What in
No,
the
listen,
hell is that?
Well, I was trying to learn, and then I heard myself, and I said, just stay on the drawing board.
I thought somebody stepped on a cat.
Well, no, I even between the legs and pulled up and tried to get
Oh.
up way high, and I couldn't even do that.
Boy, that paints a picture that I don't want to see again in my mind.
Hey, Johnny, coming back real quickly. You know what? As I walked into the studio today, I looked over at the bird cage, and you know the usual paraphernalia. You know, Johnny's got this, and he's got the big bottle of whatever he's drinking today.
Right,
we don't know.
right. I saw that.
I saw these
It's it's my morning coffee.
Yeah, but I saw these rosary beads with a cross, and I'm going.
You mean
I don't-
these rosary beads right here?
Yeah, I don't understand what that was. What is that all about?
Well, I got to tell a quick story, and we're going to put Mark on the hot seat right after this. But these rosary beads right here come with, for me, a very special story that came to a head again just this week. Back in 1991, I had returned back to my hometown in International Falls and for a short stint there. And while I was up there, there was a band from South Dakota that came up and played at a place called the Roadhouse. It was a family band called Family Affair. And it was Bob Rash, his daughter Christine, or Christy at the time, and who was quite a talented lady now even. She's in Orlando, Florida, and Bobby, his son. And then there was a drummer that was a friend of the family. And they came back a couple of times while we were there, and we just struck up a friendship with the family. They were a great band. They were so much fun. But on the weekend, the last weekend that I saw them, they were invited over to my folks' house, and we had dinner, and then we took them up to our island in Canada. Well, before they left to go back to South Dakota, I sat down with Bob, and we just had a heart-to-heart. Now, this was a big barrel-chested, Harley-driving trucker with a leather vest, and they did some rock songs. I'm getting to the point. I'm getting to it.
I was going to convert over to Catholicism.
No. And he had mentioned during the course of his show and also during our conversation he loved Elvis Presley. And I had been to Graceland, and I went back and I grabbed him a very special coin of mine. I said, because there was just a connection. I can't explain it. So I gave him my Graceland coin that I got at Graceland. And he was a little emotional. This big barrel-chested biker guy was getting a little emotional, and it was just such a beautiful moment. He said, hold on. And he went back out to his van, and he brought these rosary beads. And he told me a story about how he got these rosary beads. Were given to him by somebody special in his life. He had them for a long time, and he said, I just know that I need to give these to you. And this was 30 years ago now. Now, I've always had them. I had them somewhere where I could see them. They were I had them in the garage when I was doing a whole bunch of projects in there. And I had it on in my studio, hanging up from a microphone stand. And I've been trying to find him for 30 years.
You found him.
I found him this week.
Is he listening today?
He is listening in Illinois.
What's his name?
His name is Bob Rash, and I was spelling his name wrong this whole time. That's why I couldn't find him. So 2 or 3 nights ago, I just thought, I'm gonna try a different spelling. It just popped into my head because these things are hanging right in front of my face. And I typed it, and boom, he popped up right on the top. I sent him a message. I sent his daughter a message, and by the end of the night, he had contacted me back.
Sweet.
And I talked to his daughter, who lives in Orlando. She was John Tesh's manager.
Wow.
John Tesh from Entertainment Tonight, a very talented concert pianist. And also, she does things with the Apollo 11 things at the Kennedy Center every year. So these beads, I've kept them all these years. I don't know if you can't get a real good close-up, but I just want to say a shout-out. He's now in Illinois to one of the most beautiful men and talented guys, Bob Rash. If you're out there in Illinois, to Christy and Bobby and all the family and friends, God bless you all. It was so good to connect with you again this week. So I just wanted to say a shout out to
Bravo. Hey, I'd like to real quickly mention, some people might be interested in what I'm doing currently as a performer.
See, did you read my cheat sheet? Because that's my next question. Mark, what do you got coming up? What are you doing?
Well, for the past 13 weeks now, on Friday nights from 6 till 9, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., I've been performing at Bobby Mayo's over there at the Galleria Mall. People, easy to find. It's a beautiful place, great place. And I've been doing my Frankie Valli tribute over there. That's currently.
Yep.
And then I've got some things coming up on corporate gigs. One's in Texas coming up. I know that people won't be traveling out there for
Well,
that.
you know what? I think Texas is going to close next, but who the hell knows? But you also did a Tuesday night with Birdland Productions.
Yes, I did. I participated with their project that Johnny's been involved with. I had a great time with that. It was a lot of fun.
We filmed it here with Aaron E., who's over there in the captain's chair.
Right,
Came and
right.
brought a broadcast production team. We filmed it for us for an upcoming show that we're sending out across the country to senior
Exactly.
facilities.
Yeah, I'm really happy and proud. A lot of great joy to be involved with that. So I'm one of the very few lucky ones here in Las Vegas.
So let me ask you a question. You know, being a former athlete, and what I've seen is the music industry has kind of mimicked what, you know, the athletes did. You know, the athletes had the senior tour. And then all of a sudden the musicians are like, all right, the senior tour, you know, Mick Jagger and the Stones and Keith Richards. So is he still alive? Well, he
that?
looks dead,
Yeah,
but never mind.
They all are alive. They don't die.
You know what? I want to take the drugs he's taking, but that
They're
being aside-
animatronic figures
He's pretty
created
well
by Disney.
Pretty well
I
pickled.
mean,
yeah.
Frankie Valli, even the tribute to Frankie
Yeah.
Valli, and I want to hold up here. I have in my hand, it's called Falsetto, a tribute to Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons by Mark Maynard. I don't know if we can see, I'm going to hold it up here. This is one of your CDs. If people want to reach out to you, Mark, real quickly before we get into Johnny's little new segment we're going to do today,
Okay.
how can they get this CD? How can they reach out to you to get you for whatever they might be interested
Okay,
in?
well, I do bring the CDs with me when I'm doing performances, like over there at Bobby Mayo's on Friday nights, so I have them available just directly that way. Also, I can be found, of course, on Facebook. I welcome anybody who's interested in that CD.
And soon on a Portnoy.com mug, you never know.
There you
Yeah.
go. There you go. Excellent. Actually, it's very true. So,
Johnny, let's, you know what? We're down to our last, you know, inside 10-minute segment, and we do a segment here we have with Twin Brothers for the past 2 years
Okay.
called Getting to Know You.
All right.
But my co-host and the voice, Aaron Phillips, is not here today because he's lying horizontally on a beach in Lake Havasu.
okay.
I don't know why.
Having the time of his life.
It's
I'm sure.
110 degrees down there. I don't know what you're doing. But Johnny's come up with a new little segment that I'm gonna let him take over with this, and it's not getting to know you, but it's very similar.
I've got 150 seconds to find out more about Mark, and here we go. All right, you're on the hot seat, Mark. I'm going to ask you some questions. You give me the answers as quickly as you can.
All right.
First up, what was your nickname as a kid?
My nickname as a kid was Patch.
Patch. Why?
I had these problems with my eyes, and I had to wear these patches to help correct that.
Did they ever do the yellow crayon where you had to follow the yellow?
I had to follow a
'Cause
picture.
I did that as a kid too, but go ahead. They never called me Patch. I'm not going to tell you what they called me.
Okay.
Go ahead, Johnny.
All right, next up. Who is your favorite action star, and what's your favorite movie that he or she stars in?
Lady and the Tramp. I love the Tramp. I really identify with him.
Was that the dog?
That's the dog. You
That's
know,
your action star.
There, because he's sitting there at that plate of spaghetti, the pasta with his lady, and it's so romantic.
That's a rom-com. I'm talking about a shoot 'em up, blow 'em up type of movie. Come on, give me one.
I do love Rocky. I love all the Rocky pictures.
Okay, Sylvester Stallone. Very
Okay.
good. So that would. Can you name 5 presidents in 10 seconds? Go.
We got President Theodore Roosevelt. We got President Nixon. We got President Trump. We got President Lincoln. We got President George Washington.
Very good.
Boy, we were all over the place in that one, huh?
Yep.
Started with Teddy and ended with George.
All right. Now you are a professional wrestler
Oh, boy,
for
I-
the WWE.
Yes.
You got your music coming in. The announcer is ready. What would your wrestling name be?
My wrestling name would be.
Don't look at Lisa.
Okay. I know. All right.
We're not talking about that kind of wrestling.
Oh,
This is different.
We got
Yeah.
less than a minute.
Okay. Magnificent Marcus the Monster.
Magnificent Marcus the Monster. All right. Favorite sports team?
His favorite sport, the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Pittsburgh Pirates. What did you want to be when you were in 6th grade?
I wanted to be in 7th.
What did you want to be when you were in 12th grade?
When 12th grade, I wanted to get out of 12th grade for the longest time. No, I really enjoyed getting out of there and going to junior college.
All right. Some Frankie trivia. What was his original name?
Francis Stephen Costelluccio.
All right.
I'd like to buy a vowel.
Yeah.
What performer did Frankie's mom take him to that convinced him to be a singer?
It was a Frank Sinatra concert.
He appeared on Ed Sullivan's show as the Four Lads. What year?
Well, I'm thinking of the Four Lovers, but I'm thinking 1957.
56. Very
56,
close.
Okay.
What band with a question mark in the name was Frankie a part of?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask question mark the Mysterians, but what band was him that had a question mark?
In the name.
Wow. It wasn't the Mysterians.
Nope.
Okay, I give up.
He was part of the Wonder Who.
Oh, the Wonder Who. Yes, he did the real high, silly falsetto as a kind of a quirky thing. Yeah.
All right, real quick. We got 2 more quick questions. The first number 1 hit for Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons was what?
Well, it had to have been Sherry.
Yes. And finally, what famed director directed the Jersey Boys?
Oh, that was Clint Eastwood.
Very good.
Wow, you did your homework.
He did his homework.
Over
I
the
had no
last-
idea what he was going to ask me. but-
I didn't either, so it's 2 of us. Over the last, 30-something years, you did your homework. You've played the role. Well, that actually puts him out of the hot seat. Is
On the
that
hot
correct?
seat. Yep,
Oh,
yep.
thank you, 'cause
So we got to
my-
find out how they can get a hold of him.
Yeah, let's get a little. We got about a minute left here before we've wrapped up this hour, which has gone so quickly.
Yes, sir.
People want to reach out. They want to, book Mark Maynard. They want to see where you're performing. Give us all that contact info.
Okay, well, fine. I can give you my phone number for one thing.
That's
That would be
fine.
okay. All right. That is a local Las Vegas number here at 702-280-7254.
Wait a second. That's the same number Anna said was written in the girls' bathroom at Eastern.
I've seen that number around. I don't know who's doing
And
that.
Lisa wrote it in there. I don't understand what's going on
Did it
here.
have-
For a good song,
It's-
call.
I thought it said for a really good time, but anyway, okay. And of course, you can find me on Facebook.
Spell your name so they can find it.
Okay, the last name is Maynard.
And Mark with a K.
And Mark with the K. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Well, Mark, look, we want to thank you for coming in. It's been a joy for this hour.
It's been a ball. Thank you.
Bringing Lisa in too is always,
Yeah.
when you have eye candy in the
Oh,
studio,
tell me.
it's always good.
I almost was forgetting what to say or anything. I was like looking over here.
I never let you look over there. Every time you turned to your right, I brought you back in. Johnny, anything in closing here?
Yeah, I got some shows coming up on Sunday at E String. You can catch the show. It is an open mic type karaoke talent show. I do it at 5 to 6. It's all requests. You can ask me to sing anything you want. I got a book that goes out there. Coming up on Tuesday. There it is. Coming up on Tuesday, Mario Rosales, the Larger Than Life tour. He's going to be getting filmed for our Golden Classic series. On Wednesday, I'll be back at E String. These are all at E String, by the way. On Wednesday, I'll be back there for my Schmoozin' and Boozin' with Johnny Bird, co-hosted by the spicy Malapina, Teresa Mala. And finally, Friday, I've got a show coming up. Johnny Goes Country. It's going to be an all-country show starting at 6 o'clock. I'm wearing the cowboy hat. I won't wear the assless chaps, though. I'll bring them if the tips...
No, listen, Anna sent me a note. She said,
If-
make sure you wear them and take visuals from both the front and the back.
If the tips are good enough, I will put them on. That's no problem whatsoever. It's all a money thing. And finally, again, every Sunday. So you can catch us, Johnny Bird, no H, on Facebook, newvegas.live on the Twinternet.
Real quickly, I also want to mention Portnoy Gallery is third year of supporting St. Jude's Ranch for Children. We do the Christmas in July 25th. You can find us on Portnoy Gallery online. All of the money, every penny is going to St. Jude's Ranch for Children. We're going to close it out. I'm Neil Portnoy for Twin Brothers from Different Mothers. We're getting a point. Johnny has posted the show. We're going to say hi to Lisa.
Hey, baby.
Barry, who's here. We're going to say goodbye to to Mark Maynard.
Hey, nice.
Johnny Bird, stepbrother. Great job as always.
And same back to you. Hello to Aaron out there in La La Land.
And stay safe out there, people. Put your mask on. We're out.
for